Happy Ash Wednesday, although there's a really good chance you're not watching this on Ash Wednesday, but I'm publishing this on Ash Wednesday. We're into Jonah, and we're in chapter 3, verse 6. And I want to use this to finish up a series of videos that have focused on the hiphil, or H, primarily causative stem. So let's go ahead and read Jonah 3:6, shall we? See if you can pronounce this. Here's how I would pronounce it. Vayiga hadavar el melech Nineveh. Okay. Can you translate? How much of this can you translate? I'll give you a second. So it means something like, and reached, that is the word, and the word reached to the king. What word? Well, Jonah has set himself up in Nineveh, and he's basically saying, you're all going to fry. You sinners, you fish slappers, if you've seen VeggieTales. Anyway, so the word reached the king of Nineveh, and he rose. Not as he arose, but he got up. All right, so let's look at the grammar here. So this is from, can you guess? Well, let's what do we know? It's a vav patak doubling, so it's a converted imperfect. Basically, it's a preterite. It's a past tense. The yod tells me it's an imperfect, and it is a third masculine something. There's no sharuk at the end, so it's a third masculine singular imperfect. So we have a converted imperfect, third masculine singular. But what word is it from? Because we're only left with two clear consonants, a gimel and an ayin. And we know that generally, generally verbs have three main consonants. So did it lose something on the front? Did it lose something in the middle? Did it lose something at the end? We have a clue here because this is a doubled gimel. And so we've got a doubled letter there. So maybe something assimilated into it. Nun assimilates when no vowel separates. And so this is naga. And it is call. It is the base stem, the G stem. And it's basically the nun has been sucked into the gimel and became a doubled gimel because there was nothing. It was like yin-ga, theoretically. And the nun got sucked into the gimel. So it's just a call, converted imperfect, third masculine singular from naga. And reached, and the word reached, here we have hey patak doubling, it's the word, davar, to the king of Nineveh. So melech is a kind of noun called a segalit. It looks exactly the same, whether it's absolute or construct. So because they were already short vowels. So when you suck all the air out of the vowels to make it construct, it was still melech. So, but I can tell from the context that it's construct. To the king of Nineveh. Okay, and he rose. Now, vav patak doubling, another converted imperfect. It's a preterite. Yod, it's another third masculine singular, referring to the king. Now, it's also a G stem or a call stem. What word is it? Again, we've only got two letters. It's detective work. You might, once you've been around Hebrew long enough, you immediately recognize this as kum, to arise. And it's a hollow verb or a middle weak verb. Or let's see, you might call it an ayin weak if you take pa'al and the pei is the first letter and the ayin is the second letter and the lamed is the third letter. So it's an ayin weak. But anyway, I don't talk about it that way. So it's a middle weak verb. It's a hollow verb from kum, and he rose. All right, let's keep going. See if you can pronounce this. So here's how I would pronounce it. Mikis-o vaya'aver adarto me'alive. Me'alive. Anyway, so let's see about this one. He rose mikis-o. So min, this is min, mem, hirik, and nun assimilates when no vowel separates. So the nun has been sucked into the kaf, but it's from, and then hol and vav at the end is what pronominal suffix? His pronominal suffix. It's third masculine singular. So from his kissy, from his throne. Kissy, kissy, the throne. From his throne. So, and he rose from his throne. This is a silent schwa, I believe, because it's a short vowel precedes it. Okay. So he arose from his throne. Let me go ahead and get the translation going here. From his throne, He arose from his throne. Vaya aver. Okay, I want to look at this word right here. So we have vav patak doubling, so it's another converted imperfect, or better, a preterite. Yod, so it's third masculine singular. Now we got all the letters here. Avar means to pass over. But notice that there is a patak under the performative. Do you remember me saying in a recent video, the one right before this, if you're following these in series, that a telltale sign of the Hiphil stem is a patak under the performative? Now I have to be careful because ayin is a guttural and gutturals like A-class vowels. So it might not have been, it might have been just peer pressure. But in this case, it actually is the Hiphil. So let's analyze this here. So we've got vav patak doubling, that's the converted bit. And we've got the patak under the performative, which tells you it's H, or Hiphil, and also that it's third masculine singular. Now, where's the Hirik Yod, you're saying? You told me, Ken, in the previous video, that a Hirik Yod after the second consonant was a telltale sign of the Hiphil stem. Well, okay, this is ending the section on Hiphil, and I want to say that in the converted imperfect form, in the H converted imperfect, the Hirik Yod tends to become a sere. Now, it's still an I-class vowel. The Hirik Yod is a very long I-class vowel, and the sere is in the same category, i.e., I's and E's go together in class of vowel. So the sere is something you should expect in converted imperfect. I think you would find it in the jussive, H jussive as well. So just a warning that you may find some of those. Okay, I might actually do another video on the H imperative now that I think of it, just to seal the deal. Okay, the verse has not quite ended, so I've got a little bit more. See if you can pronounce this. And here's how I would pronounce it. Vayakas, sak, vayeshev, al ha-efer. Okay, so this should have been vav patak doubling. But remember, there's an obscure rule that says that if there's a vocal schwa under the performative, it can lose its doubling. I don't know what that means, but Lasore told me a long time ago. So I've got converted imperfect, or preterite, better. It is a third masculine singular, and I've only got two consonants. Something is missing. Well, it's this one. So is it a first nun? Well, nothing's been assimilated. Is it a middle week? Well, I don't know. Kus. Actually, there is a word kus, but that's not what it is. This is kasa, and it is a third. Let me go ahead and show you. It is a third hay, and third hays in the converted imperfect. The hay goes away in a third hay in the converted imperfect. So it's kasa, to cover or to put on. Normally, we would have doubling of the second radical, but you don't have doubling at the end of a word. But this is what's called a pial. And we'll talk about the D stem, or the doubling stem, in more specificity in a few verses along the way. But anyway, it's coming. But basically, the D stem tends to be factative, so to put into a certain state. So if you cover, if you put into a covered state, you're putting on clothes. Anyway, don't overthink it. So the telltale sign, okay, so if the telltale sign of the Hiphil imperfect is a patak under the performative, what we're going to find is that the telltale sign of a PL, or D stem, in the imperfect is a shava under the performative. You don't have to know that today. I'm just preparing the way of the grammar. So, and he put on a sack. He put on sackcloth. Vayeshev, and he sat upon the ash. So this is hey, not a patak, because the aleph wouldn't do doubling, and so bam, ricocheted off and made it a patak into a kamatz by compensatory lengthening. But it's the ash, the afer. That sounds like something you anyway. It's Ash Wednesday. Happy Ash Wednesday. So the king is repenting, and he sits and he puts on a sackcloth, and he sits upon ash. And so welcome to Ash Wednesday. This is and he sat, vav patak doubling. It's a preterite. Yod, it's third masculine singular. Actually, the yod has, I think, kind of gotten suck, kind of, why have two yods? Because you have yashav, which means to sit, and then you have the yod, the performative, and it kind of just coalesced into it. So, and he sat upon the ash. It's a call stem, nothing special there. Well, this was a longer video. I apologize. But it's Ash Wednesday. And the king basically says we should repent if God's going to destroy us. And so we continue on our journey of learning Hebrew through the book of Jonah.